I have the first question then. I was intrigued actually by, I went to Rural Roundup for Nevada Commission on Tourism. This is a big conference week. And one of the, I think his name is Jim Gilmore, who wrote some books on how our economy has gone from agricultural to industrial to service, and now we are in the experience industry now. And I wondered if maybe both of you could talk to us a little bit from your perspective about how we as a tourism destination tries to speak to providing the experience, where we used to stand at the front desk and say, we give you service, now give us your money and go away. And now our guests are asking for the complete experience that really lets them go home and broadcast that to the world globally, and how that can kind of perpetuate something even better for us.
Well, I can touch two data points. One of the reasons that we follow the Consumer Confidence Index is the increasing power of the consumer, with over, I think it's now 74% of our economy based on consumer spending, as opposed to things that has been in the past. Right? The consumer spending and what they choose to spend upon is the largest single driver by a huge magnitude, especially in the baby boomer side of that generation. Folks are still trying to fulfill what they thought was going to be true about their lives. We haven't given up yet, is the good news about we boomers, although we may be planning to buy body parts to sustain the lifestyle that we continue. We are going to prevail, we're going to persevere, longer and harder in pursuit of our lifestyle than previous generations before us. And as you said very eloquently, that gives us more time to figure out how to market, what to sell, and the manner in which we'll communicate to the next generation up on the list. That experiential part then is part of the driver of the lifestyle that has always made the baby boomers do what they do. So the confluence of consumer spending and the pursuit of what I'll call lifestyle, for lack of a better thing, is probably the primary single driver if you're marketing to what I'll call the traditional market, which we both demonstrate so well. I am almost exactly the demography of the baby boomer. I'm on the front end, my wife is on the tail end, my kid is right in the middle of the millennial. We are bicycle riders, and that was identified as the biggest thing that was coming up 3 years ago. Colorado did the Pro Cycling Challenge. You would have thought that Colorado invented road biking last year, notwithstanding what you guys have been doing for several years. We don't say spandex. Our market demography showed that almost 60% of the attendees to that were what we call mammals, middle-aged men in lycra. Mammals was it. About dogs, it's not just dogs, it's designer dogs. It has to be something that's mixed with a poodle. Right? It's got a labradoodle, a golden doodle. It all started out with cocker spaniels, and they call them cockapoos, I guess, right? Because I don't know. But so goes that part. Now it looks like, to the Latin point, it's Zumba. Anybody know what Zumba is? It's sort of like Latin line dancing, right? With some aerobic stuff going on in the process. I'm going to stop before I embarrass myself. Over to you.
Well, and then I'm going to take the jump forward to go back to that notion about the intertwining of environmental and social justice, because you are a natural destination, and there are a host of organizations, youth-serving organizations, that are now available to help be that guide, that experiential delivery system, if we will. So the wonderful thing about that is we don't have to know how to do it. We only know how to facilitate getting it done. Enter the millennials as the link between these generations, and we can recreate at the youth serving organization what used to happen in the organizational camp. So the org camp for baby boomers, where you ship out for a week and you learn to do all these things and you come back kind of loving nature, can't wait to go back. That delivery system is now essentially going through youth serving organizations that are urban based. The parent to child transmission, which was the other way we all learned what we learned, pretty much disrupted. And so we need to look for substitutes. People have to learn how to do these things. Your own learn to ski schools, I think if we think hard about what's going to happen to make that work more broadly, will also be something that an area like yours can help lead us as we figure this all out together. But if we're going to move to an experience economy, and we most assuredly are, then that programming, special event, learn to do, come to practice, introductory rate, all of those tools that are so hard to really cost out on a short-term ROI become absolutely essential to do anyway, because we have to grow a market.
Here's a little piece of information on that note. One of the major destinations here in the Tahoe Basin experienced an 80% increase in ski school in January. They learned that retrospectively when they looked at the January numbers in mid-February and tried to reverse engineer it. What do you think accounted for a 70%, I think it was, actually increase in ski school in January in this year? Overall distance down 30, ski school up 70. Sun, good weather, right. Turns out that that market was almost all beginners and almost all ethnic minorities. And when focus grouped, it turned out that how would I say this right? The benefit of low snow on the roads was more advantageous than the heavy snow would be on the mountains. In other words, they were intimidated by a lot of snow on the roads and felt less uncomfortable traveling up to the mountains to try beginning ski vacation or a skiing experience as a result of the low snow. Just the flip of what we traditional marketeers would have thought would be true in the snow case. So you got to get a lobotomy and start all over again, to really track the market, use data, use samples from the markets.
Anybody else have a question? Right there?
I understand they had data specific to Tahoe South. Did Ralf have more specific data that you can tell us?
Well, the data is actually protected for, the different resorts have signed a confidentiality agreement basically with MTRIP, and so it is available to any of the properties that are signed up for that. We get a little bit of information generally, and but if you're interested, we can talk to Ralf a little bit later on that. And then we also get, as the sponsor, we also get trend information and some insights like Ralf have given you today that helps us perhaps be more proactive in the market as we move forward.
And I can speak to that just a little bit more. We're trying to walk the line between making it easy for the participating properties to get some extra value so they participate, and aggregating that data all together so the rest of the community can really get a good destination view. So the properties who participate will get a whole pack of things for free that's very granular at their level. Then we'll build a summary for the overall destination. Carol through LTVA will get an example of that summary and distribute it to those of you that are interested. And anyone here can subscribe to what we call the Mountain Market Intelligence Pack. That's all the stuff that I used for the initial presentation. What we typically do is we offer that pack at half the retail price for those of you who are members of the chamber or whoever the DMO is in this scenario. So we've gotten our first report out just as of the end of February, so this will be immediately forthcoming. But you'll be able to subscribe to this whole info pack, Mountain Market Intel Pack, at half the retail rate for those of you individuals who would like to do so. I will tell you that our look at the data shows that you've generally followed that Western Tahoe set, although you were slower to fall into the hole and you were later to come out of the hole than the other three destinations that represented your comp set. Looking forward into the summer, your occupancy is well off and your rate is through the roof. There's a huge disparity between occupancy going down and rate going up, showing an awful lot of confidence by those who are pricing the rate, but not much volume to support it so far. So I would keep an eye on that. The community would be better served by having more guests at a lower rate, of course, right? So that they can be here, bring their credit cards and charge. And this is always an interesting dichotomy between the lodging interests and the rest of the retail community. I've got some information on that Intel pack, and for any properties that are interested, or any of that you who know properties who might be interested, send them my way, drink chits, whatever. I'll bribe any way that we have to get a good data set for you.
Thank you. Was there another? Yes, sir.
Yes, I want to thank both of you for presenting some excellent information. I think it's very relevant, very timely for our marketplace. I do have a question for Dr. Sheffield regarding growth. Do you attribute these growth rates that you produce based on historical census data, or what do you use as a basis for saying that we're going to grow X million by 2040?
Yeah, those are all census data. Almost every longer national projection, every longer projection I shared with you was census data. Those data were developed off the 2000 census, have not yet been re-released or updated off the 2010 census. But historically, they've been our most reliable big picture data set. So those are all census data. And I will tell you, the other big shift I've seen that's gotten a lot more fun for people between the 2000 census and the 2010 census is all of this interactive mapping on the fly. And the way that you can now, the organizations are starting to pull out the pieces of the census data they're particularly interested in and then arraying them geographically with these little rollover screens so you can see just exactly what's happening in Butte County or just exactly what's happening in your major market areas. And there are 5 or 6 really, really interesting, very accessible public, you just go over and anybody can intuit their way through it. I'll send my list of sort of favorite links on that to y'all, because if you can take that kind of big social context and then use it to inform the mountain research context and vice versa, it's a really powerful combination that as professionals, you'll know what to do with in a way I can't see. So I'll send that list of links out and you can take a look and some screen grabs so you can see exactly what you're looking for. And that's all because of this move to powerful geographic information systems and big numerical data sets getting pulled together in a way that you can do highly customized flyovers and look-sees. So I'd suggest you take a look at that as well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Oh,
Hi, Karen. I want to echo thank you to both of you. Great information, really fantastic. Mr. Garrison mentioned something about this, somebody asking for $50,000 for whatever it was, a website upgrade or something, and somebody else behind them, $500,000 for a sewer, and that infrastructure was part of an unrealized asset. Could you expand on that a little bit? If you've had a chance to maybe kind of look at the infrastructure here and what your opinion might be of that.
Sure. Well, destination tourism is intangible. It's not like a tangible product or service that we can touch and feel. The product itself has to be put together and assembled. It's not bought on the grocery store shelf where we can direct a customer. And the way that we organize ourselves and deliver it is not as nearly as straightforward as municipal infrastructure would be. Thus the example of the sewer or roads or whatever. Nonetheless, because it's your gateway to the revenue that sustains you, and because destination tourism is proving itself more reliable than any other piston in your economic engine, it should not go unconsidered. So whatever you describe as destination tourism infrastructure, in my case, it was that sort of hourglass of supply coming up from the bottom and demand coming down from the top. And a rhetorical question, how do you organize and package your supply, present it and distribute it to the marketplace in a way that gives you a competitive advantage over your competition? How do you do that? If you have somebody else do it for you, tour operators, online travel agents, intermediaries, the cost is going to be high and you're putting somebody between you and your customers whose interests aren't the same as yours. If you don't put somebody in between you and your customers, then it's back to the rhetorical question. Who's doing it? How are you going to do it? How are you going to organize yourselves, in order to do that? So there's a combination of funding that's required, right? This is usually the providence of a destination marketing organization in conjunction with the chamber. I've got quite a story that I've watched you guys go through in 4 or 5 circles that happens in every community. always starts out as a chamber of commerce. The chamber of commerce tries to raise money. That's not a reliable way to do it. We decide to tax ourselves through a municipal taxing authority. That gets lodging tax. That lodging tax eventually gets turned back to the community, but some of it gets bled off to use other things. Pretty soon only a portion of it is coming back around. Yada, 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 so goes the dance. Right? So those of us who don't have the money to go out and just beat the marketplace have to figure out how to organize ourselves better, build our infrastructure more successfully, or outsmart the competition in order to win the game. About all I can do with this amount of time, but an adult beverage is really appropriate for this kind of discussion.
That was very good. So adult beverages are served out at Hard Rock. Thank you again to Hard Rock and for Harvey's and to our two speakers, Emilyn and Ralph. And thank you for coming and joining us. And we hope to see you here next year again. And please make sure that you say hello to our guests.